Hello everyone, I am Pushpita De and you are watching Zee Business. The last Union Budget 22-23 gave a major push to the B2B e-commerce sector. Along with the retail e-commerce platforms, B2B marketplace platforms play an important role in serving the customers from various Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, state various reports. In recent times, there has been a significant shift in the way micro and small enterprises buy, sell, and operate, and the contribution of B2B platforms in that has been immense. When Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will present the budget on February 1, like other sectors, this sector also holds some expectations too. To discuss all this with us, we have Mr. Dinesh Agarwal, founder and CEO of IndiaMart, India's largest online B2B marketplace for business products and services. Sir, welcome to Zee Business. Thank you so much for joining us. So let's start with the most obvious question. What are you expecting from the budget this time?
See, my expectation from budget always remains one only, simplification. Because micro and small enterprises, as much as they work hard to get more customer, work hard to I think their biggest worry or biggest because they are typically one-man army or small businesses, and for them getting compliances done is a cost as well as time cost. So as many as regulations that can be eased out, because our motto itself is ease of doing business, and that is what I keep asking the finance minister as well as the government, that let us relax. Whatever can be done via computer, whatever can be done automatically, and whatever can be done away with, so that people can focus on their business, people can focus on their innovation, marketing. The second part, which in general, I think while while the larger enterprises get credit at a cheaper rate, the smaller enterprises, which are anyway lesser competitive because of their scale, they also get credit at a higher rate. So and especially in the last year, we have seen multiple rate hikes being done, and interest rates are quite high nowadays. So if some interest rate subvention can be given for the priority sector of small and medium enterprises, especially micro and small enterprises, it will be great.
Got it. So do you suggest specific tax plans or any exemptions in that matter?
So as I said, interest rate intervention, if they can give subvention of 2% for the priority sector, subvention of 3% for the priority sector, that would be great.
Got it. So, sir, we have seen that this sector was badly hit during COVID. And while the entire Indian economy is recovering from the COVID, we again had issues like inflation. So how do you think that issues like inflation has an impact on the sector, and how the sector is recovering from the impact of COVID alongside with like the impact we had from inflation?
Yeah, last 3-4 years, 5 years have been very impactful or eventful for the micro and small sector. It started with demonetization, then GST was adopted, and then COVID hit, first lockdown happened, and then as the businesses started to recover, the second wave hit, which was very badly hit on the people side. And as people, there was a latent demand, and then inflation hit, and now the interest rate are hitting. So I think the sector has gone through one bad event every year, and obviously that has been quite visible in the last 2 quarters, I think, from first half of the year, due to the inflationary pressure, and now most probably due to the interest rate pressure. I don't know, because the government has also done many good things in the past, because with the GST, a lot of regulations were eased, because otherwise doing business was far more difficult as compared to the VAT regime that we had, because every state had a different regulation and all that. So I think with that PLI based schemes and many ease of doing business also. The ranking has improved in India from 150 to almost less than 100, I think 61 or something, just before the COVID. So I guess government has done many steps, but there are some natural things that is happening, and we need to especially take care, because India is not a country where most of the people are job oriented. No, unlike probably a large country of China or US, where most people are formally employed with a monthly salary system. In India, I think 90% of the people are self-employed, whether they are farmers or whether they are daily wages or whether they are small businesses, and all three of them do not have a certainty of getting a paycheck every month, and that is why we cannot follow the West or the China in their policies. We have to especially create more jobs, as well as create more business friendly, small business friendly regime. Just like IndiaMart, we try to do business enablement for many small suppliers. So our societal impact on the society is very high, because about 7 million plus suppliers freely list on IndiaMart and promote their products, which are promoted across India. And also small buyers or small businessmen who need any tools, any machinery, anything from remotest part. They did not have this kind of a platform where they could find variety of models and suppliers, and so they did not have enough choices. They did not know the prices of the wholesale mandi, like Delhi wholesale mandi or Mumbai wholesale mandi in the remote parts. You can see from our annual report, about 45% of the buyers on IndiaMart come from tier 3 and tier 4 towns and cities. So which is democratizing the information and availability of the information and availability of the product. While many platforms are there in the B2C, there are very few platforms have done a similar task on the B2B. I think there also needs more participants to solve many more problems. I think small businesses have not had success with technology adoption so far, beyond a couple of things. So I think that side also needs to be taken care by the government to some extent. ONDC and OCEN, I mean, after UPI has come in, I think government has recently launched OCEN, Open Credit Enable Network, and that should probably reduce the cost of lending, cost of processing the lending. That should help. ONDC is that for the commerce piece. That is also possibly could be a game changer if it works like UPI. However, there are a lot more moving parts than UPI. UPI is all about transactions and money being flowing digitally. ONDC is all about delivering the products. I'm more hopeful on the OCEN side.
Got it. Sir, so in a recent interview, so the government mentioned, like we spoke to the Ministry of State, and he mentioned that the MSME sector has an immense scope or opportunity to create more jobs. In fact, they said like near around 6 crore jobs have already been created through MSME segment. So how do you see that, like in the coming years or in the coming quarters, what could be the role of this B2B platforms in helping in job creation, and how government can further help in that?
As I said, it's very easy to start a business in India, and it is also very important to start for most of the people to start a business in India, because they do not have the formal education to get into job. But at the same time, it is very difficult to scale business into India, as certain exemptions, you go beyond certain exemptions, the onerous items of law starts to kick in. When you have 10 employees, you have to start following the labor laws. When you have You have to get Shop and Establishment Act, you have to get GST registration at 30-40 lakhs, and I think many more. So I think we need to also see how these micro businesses become small businesses, because if you see the entire census or the entire GST data, almost 80% of the people are less than 1 crore turnover. And how do you expect them to create 60% jobs in India? So until unless they grow to a 4-5 crore business, they won't be able to create many jobs. They will remain more like a self-employed businessman.
Got it, got it. Sir, also you spoke about the kind of technological support needed in the for small businesses. So do you think like some issues like this, like technological support, need to be addressed, and how it can be addressed specifically considering tier 4 or tier 3 cities? Because we have seen a lot of self-help group coming up with their small business ideas. So how can they like get the opportunity, or they get the help, and what could be the role of such platforms like IndiaMart in that?
A lot. I think if you see, technology has played a great role in information communication and business information. If you see, with the mobile computer, smartphone, what we call, everybody now has access to a very strong device, and people are using different platforms like IndiaMart, like Just Dial, like Google, like Facebook, like WhatsApp, like Instagram, to suit to their business, and they are all using it. We probably need more such initiatives like UPI, which can enable transactions, which can enable marketing, which can enable fulfillment at a easier pace. I am not too sure whether all of that has to come from the government, but especially if the India Stack and Aadhaar and all that are being used, I am very hopeful of the OCEN as a initiative. More such initiatives with the with the self-help groups or other rural cooperative bodies can be found to create more self-employment.
Got it, sir. Sir, just coming to the last question. So, we have seen whenever there is some economic crisis or issues, the the behavioral pattern and the demand changes. So, what is the change you have noticed, or do you expect any such change in the behavioral pattern of the customers you deal with, or what can we expect?
So, as I said, last 3-4 years has taught a lot of agility to a small business, because earlier many small businesses were, okay, I do this job, ये मेरी दुकान है, and they will continue to do that for years and years and years without much of hindrance. And now what has happened is, because of these big jolts that have come in, like a lockdown for 20 days or 2 months, I think people have become far more agile to adapt to a newer business idea, to a newer, they have adjusted. They have started to look at online platforms far more, with far more, greater confidence. So I think on one side, I guess, while people have faced a lot of difficulty in the last 4-5 years, but on the other hand, it has come out as a big myth buster as well as big learning. I think this particular generation, entire generation, would have learned a lot in these 3 to 5 years than the entire decade or so.
Got it, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Like, your views were really very insightful. The way you took us through how the business has changed and the problems they have faced over the last few years. I'm sure like our viewers will get some insightful inputs from the same. Thank you so much for
Thank you very much
joining us. Mr. Agarwal gave us some insightful inputs on the B2B marketplace and what the sector is expecting from the upcoming budget. It's now time for us to wait and see what does the ministry offer for this sector in the upcoming budget.